What's up, guys? It's Direct here. Today I'm going to be going through some production techniques with you, as well as I'll be doing a bit of a mix analysis of my new song, Next Level. It's a UK hardcore track, and it'll be on my EP that I'm dropping on Friday. I think it's the 27th or something, this Friday, and I'll drop that in the description as soon as it's out. So you'll be getting a bit of a sneak peek at what's on the track, and I'll show you kind of some of the stuff I made. And this will be a 3-part series. It'll be first I'll go through this track, and then I'll go through the second track on the EP, which is a hardstyle remix of Better Off Alone by Alice DJ, and the third song, which is a Frenchcore track, kind of a euphoric Frenchcore track. So get keen for that. So yeah, I'll do a mix analysis on each one of those, as well as a couple of production techniques throughout the series. So without further ado, let's get to it. So the first production technique I want to share with you today, and most of you should know these, it's layer your sounds, stack the layers. So the first example I have here is a brass stab, and I'll just kind of show you my process, how I made it, and like why I did what I did. So this is the intro, and I'll show you the brass stab and how I did that.
Take it to the next level.
Cool. Sorry about the audio, it's a bit spluttery, but it's the audio interface into OBS, but we'll move past that. So, pattern 12, this is the brass stab here. It's 4 sounds, 2 Nexus presets, they're both brass presets, Jurassic Brass and Dark Horns, and a super saw and a sub bass. So we'll go to our mixer, and I'll show you kind of how I layered them together. So obviously, like, one brass sound sounds alright, you know? Doesn't sound terrible, but together they just sound a whole lot fatter. And obviously you can't just stack them together and think they're going to work. You have to choose sounds that are going to sound good together, and then you have to compress them together as well as process them together and make them sound like one sound, not just a mix mash of sounds on top of each other. So the first sounds, these are the horns. I distorted them with Isotope Trash, and then I also saturated them a bit further. And for those of you who don't know, saturation is like kind of a light form of distortion, and I really like the way satin sounds. So then I used Pro Q2, and I did a 27 dB boost in the highs and cut out the lows. This is because the horns in Nexus sounded very warm, and there wasn't a lot of high. It was a very analog kind of sound, very old school, and I was going for more of a modern dubstep kind of flavor, so lots of highs and lots of bass. So I just boosted the shit out of the highs, and that's kind of given it that brighter feel, that sparkly feel almost, and then compressed. And then I didn't think it was bright enough still. It needed a bit more grit after all that, so I added a super saw layer, and it's pretty similar, but obviously no 27 dB boost in the highs. Cut off the lows again, same kind of saturation, same kind of compression, and the low filter as we filter it in. And also the sub bass, which is pretty simple. It's in mono. This is the mono knob in FL Studio, and it's going to the sub bus where I've EQ'd it a little bit, and also camel crushed it, which is just kind of a one knob distortion compression kind of plugin. And then that is the sidechain for when the kick comes in. So when those kicks hit, it kind of ducks the sub, so there's no clashing frequencies there. But everyone should know what sidechain compression is by now from my previous videos. So let's keep going, shall we? So that's the first instance of layering that I thought was a really good example. The second instance I think we'll go through, which everyone wants to know, is how you layer your leads. The main beef of the song, basically. So this is the breakdown, and we'll play it, and I'll go through how I did it. So that is the breakdown, and we'll go through the sounds that I used, why I used them, kind of a rule of thumb of, the rules that I use when I'm planning out a lead. So we'll go to our mix window again. So this sound is actually a mixture of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sounds plus the chords in the background you hear. My basic rules, this is just how I kind of go about it, is I put a top lead, which is kind of the main top lead. Can be whatever the hell you want it to be, just make it the kind of the main focus of the lead. I think it is this one. That is the main one, this one here. That's the main lead that I've used, kind of based everything around. Then I start layering things. So once I have that sound, I'll layer a square. Kind of adds to that kind of mid-low, those mid to high frequencies. Makes it sound a bit thicker. Then I'll add that super saw that you just heard. And that adds those really bright frequencies as well as a bit of width. And then you kind of just layer as to what you see fit. Normally I go with another clean kind of mono lead underneath. So that's what this is. And then also, if you're making hardstyle or UK hardcore or anything like that, that's really kind of distorted, and you need those big detuned, even trance, kind of uses these sorts of leads. I always add kind of a real detuned sort of lead. So this one, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's just got some pitch envelopes and things on it to make it kind of wobble, like the pitch wobbles. It's very detuned kind of sound. So that is the top lead, and then I just have the good old Virus TI in the background playing the chords, and it's just a detuned super saw kind of patch, which sounds like this. And together it's all big and fat. So, production technique number 1, make sure you're choosing sounds that sound good together when you're layering. And that's just how I go about leads for hardstyle or anything of that kind of genre. That's throughout the CP I've used that kind of methodology is a main lead, a square, a saw, a mono lead, and then something kind of detuned. And then I just, if I think it needs more, I add more, and if I think it needs less, I take less out. So we'll go to our lead bus, and I'll show you how I process them. So it's just here. I think I've just got some. Yeah, they're just EQs, just to kind of make it fit together. Just EQs, pretty simple EQs, cutting EQs, no boosting or anything. And they're all being bussed to the leads, which I have saturated again, then EQ'd. OTT, which is a multi-band over-the-top compressor. It's similar to the one in Ableton. It's kind of modeled off that, and it just gives that. That's what a lot of the modern producers are using to get that really crisp and punchy sound that everyone's hearing. S1 Imager, stereo imaging tool, makes everything a little wider, but doesn't affect your mono signal, so it'll just boost the side signals basically, and it won't affect anything that's going on in the middle, so you'll still keep that punch and that power there. Pro C, which is a preset. I don't know why I use a preset. Usually I just eyeball it and I'll turn the attack all the way down, because the OTT will add lots of attack and like clips. So normally I just punch the attack down and bring the ratio up to about 4 or 3, and then make it just so it's kind of all being compressed down, so there's no massive peaks when the compressor when the OTT kind of kicks in. But in this track I've used a preset, so obviously I thought it sounded good. I don't remember why I used this, but that's what that is. Sometimes you just find something cool, you know. Simplon for the filtering, which is similar to the Love filter, just a kind of it's a low pass, high pass thing. Sounds really clean, bit cleaner than Love filter, but sometimes I like kind of the resonance and the character that Love filter kind of brings, so I use Love filter instead of Simplon. But if you want that clean filter, Simplon is excellent. More EQ and sidechain compression for the kick, and that is that basically. That's layering. So we'll talk about some more production techniques. My second production technique will be reverb busing. I think I might have gone over this in another video, but reverb busing and sidechaining. So what I've done is the leads are being sent to these sends here, reverb and delay here, and they all have their own kind of effects chain. So the reverb, what this allows you to use is really massive reverbs, and it like I've got an 8-second decay time here, and it just cleans everything up, so it's not too dirty. Because if you don't have a sidechain reverb, it's gonna play on top of everything, and everything's gonna get real messy real fast. So this allows you to have those massive reverbs, but still maintain that cleanliness and the crispness of the leads, and they'll come through. So basically all I've done, massive reverb, massive hall reverb, EQ'd out all the lows below 374, obviously thought that sounded the best, and that just gets rid of all that like woof and weird really messy low reverb, which you don't need for it to sound good. And then the magic happens here. So this is a side chain, this is my side chain, and all it is being sent, is taking the leads, the signal from the leads, coming into the side chain, and when the leads play, it is ducking the reverb. So then you have the reverb in the background, and when the leads stop playing, it'll come back up and there'll be a massive tail, which is what we want in hardstyle and that kind of stuff. We want those huge, especially in trance, you want massive reverb tails. It's very atmospheric, you know. So yeah, this is how we do it, really. We use sidechain compression on the leads. It also would be very good in stuff like big room house and anything with a lot of big reverbs. If you're not using massive hall reverbs, then you probably don't need to do this. You just turn them dry, wet down, basically. But this is a big thing in trance and hardstyle and things of that nature lately. Also, I've sidechained it to the kick, so the reverb ducks as well when the kick hits, and just makes it a bit cleaner. Even further, and I did exactly the same thing with the delay. It's just a fruity delay, and I've done exactly the same sidechain. So they kind of sound together, just not as hard as the reverb, because I wanted the delay to kind of come through more. And that's the second production technique. I think as a third production technique today, kind of a bonus, we'll go over some mastering and how I master my tracks. And then we'll go through a mix analysis. So we'll go through this master chain. Unfortunately, because of my audio driver, I won't be able to play it mastered and unmastered. So I'll just kind of go through what I did. So first off, I have the glue, which is a really nice kind of analog feel compressor. I think it's modeled off the Ableton one, actually, the glue compressor in Ableton. So yeah, that's what I use. I just use the transparent final master. All it's doing really is parallel compression, really low ratio, basically no attack, and an auto release, and the makeup, and then we just have 2 dB of makeup with just, and I just played with the threshold until it was kind of hitting, but not like super harsh compression. You just want it touching, getting rid of lots of those peaks and things. So that's all that really is. Then I put a Pro L on. I used a drum and bass preset, and I just messed around with it. 0 attack, really quick release, little bit of look ahead, and just 4 dB just to kind of push it into the next part of my chain, because I mix down to around -9 dB. In FL Studio, it really doesn't like really loud volumes, so that's why all my mixer things my mixer channels faders are all really low. FL really doesn't handle high volumes nicely. As a tip, if you're an FL user and you're struggling to mix, this plugin over here, Oxford Inflator, basically all it is a brick wall limiter with an input and output gain, and also the effect, which is supposed to make things louder without kind of increasing the gain or the volume. Don't ask me how it does it, but that's what they say it does. Seems to work, so it's a good plugin for that. But what you can do is, when you start mixing, chuck this on your master without anything else on it, put the input up to 12 dB, and mix to that, because it won't compress your sound. All it will do is chop off anything that falls above that 0 dB mark. So then if you're mixing so it's not chopping off, you're mixing to 0 dB, and you take this Oxford Inflator off, you're going to have 12 dB of headroom. And then you can still mix loud, because FL Studio, it's very quiet when you mix it. It's not like other DAWs. So yeah, that's just a little tip. If you want to use that, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But I find it really helpful because I like mixing nice and loud. But I need that 12 dB, 9 dB of headroom, whatever I'm feeling on. So yeah, I usually pump it to 10 dB, and I end up with about 9 dB of headroom, and that is plenty for what I'm doing. So yeah, Oxford Inflator, you can use that if you want. Any other brick wall limiter will work. Like, there's a free one called G-Clip, does exactly the same thing, can do that too. Next is my Ozone 8 chain. So I compressed a little bit more here, really lightly again, like no attack, a little bit of release. EQ'd some of those annoying frequencies out, and also got rid of anything below 20 and above 19 or 20 or something. Just because you can't hear those things, and if it's below 20 you might blow someone's sub out, so you want to get rid of that. And also, there's also a bit of woofiness around here, so I got rid of that. And for 4 to 5k, is a lot of, you can end up having a lot of harshness there. So I got rid of a little bit of that too. Next we have our multi-band compressor, and this really kind of glues everything together, and it also allows you to really push that loudness at the end here. So that's kind of the settings I use. Lots of compression on the tops and the lows, a little bit of parallel on the highs, and then 3 and 4 ratio. No attack because it's hard dance, and we want that sound to be compressed as. So yeah, that's kind of where I went with that. And then finally is the imager, which is just, normally I'll put the imager at the beginning, which actually I don't know why it's there. It should be before the equalizer, because you want to compress the whatever you've imaged. But so I've made everything under 180 pretty much mono. It might have a little bit of width, but it's barely going to be noticeable. It's just, if you're listening on headphones, you might be able to hear a bit more width in the sub, but hardly anything. And then just bumped everything up slowly, so it's just a little bit wider. Nothing extreme, it's mastering, you just want a little changes just to make that a little bit of difference, a little bit nicer. So that's the Ozone 8, and after that I just push it as hard as I possibly can with the Oxford inflator and clip it at 0.1 dB, just to give it that little bit of headroom below 0. Sorry, can't speak. Yeah, and just push it as hard as I can without it distorting. Once it distorts, push it down a little bit, and that's your master, really. And then I just monitor it with Ozone 8 and see what kind of things I'll get. And because I use a virus, I don't because I use my virus, I don't bounce offline. I'll just record it into here and save it, and that's the main part of the track, really. And that's mastering. So that's it. If you want me to do more tutorials of any kind of leave a comment down below, and I'll see if I can have the time to do it with everything that's going on in life. But until next time, guys, we'll be going through the Alice DJ remix, and I'll show you kind of a bit of how I mix hardstyle instead of UK hardcore. Sweet, guys. Peace out. See you later.